Hey guys, yay! I missed you. um, okay, so I'm gonna dive right in because then that way it's productive and you guys get all the awesome content, and then it doesn't run long for you to take notes. But this is a super important call. I want everyone to be able to take notes on. I am in a private push group with Josh Coates from till the end of this year. So we were working a lot on recruiting, like a recruiting 101 kind of thing the very first week. So it was like a content every single day for the first 5 days only on recruiting. And this was really awesome because he really talked about um, how we're building our story brand, because I mean, we need to remember that we are not Beachbody. We are individuals. I'm Angela, you are Christina, Alicia, Tiffany, Isabel, um, Beth. Like you are a single person, an individual, and that is your brand. Who you are and what you're about, and your character is really in your story, like your story, your particular story is what people are attracted to and why people will grab your hand and want to start their journey with you in their health and fitness, because Beachbody is just a product. Beachbody is a vessel, it's a tool that we use that has helped us and changed our lives and will help, you know, and that we're paying it that forward and we're just sharing that with other people. So we need to remember not to compare ourselves to other people's posts and how they're sharing and what they're doing on their stories or in Facebook or Instagram or whatever, because you need to share your story your way, you know. So let me explain that. When we post on social media or share in our stories, we're supposed to be calling out to the people that you want to work with, okay? If you can't tell stories, people won't want to follow you and read what you have to say. So if you're just posting just to post, or I mean, yes, it's great to share something inspirational, you know, if when it comes to your storytelling though, like when you want to make a post and you're being vulnerable and say you want to do a call to action post or a post about, you know, inviting to a challenge group or inviting to your team, it needs to be in a story, because people, first of all, the photo needs to be attractive. It needs to be lighted, like in good light. Natural light's better. If it's a darker light, then, you know, there's different apps to use. A new one that I got from the team retreat was Snapseed, Snapseed, Snapseed. It's amazing. Totally brightens things up, and you can do all kinds of things with it, and it's very simple to use. So I would suggest maybe using that. But the picture needs to be eye-catching. So when it comes to your posts, that's what's going to stop someone scroll. And then what you have to say needs to be interesting. Like it needs to be like you are telling your story. But this is how you're going to do it. If you you have to tell, let's see, I must tell the story that I do. Let's see, I must tell the story I do have, even if it's not yet the story I want to have. Okay, so there's sometimes, like if you're just brand new and getting started, or maybe, you know, you're like, I'm trying to work on strengthening my marriage. I'm trying to, you know, work on my consistency, maybe in my nutrition, and you've already got these tools and you're working really hard. Don't feel like because you're not there yet that you can't share. You know what I mean? So you need to be able to remember that you're sharing and you're telling a story of what you do have, even if you don't really have it yet. So like this means like your dreaming stories also. We aren't the only ones that have gone through struggles, and we need to remember that. So sharing the nuggets of hope and truth that you need, because it might help someone else. Your story is valuable, you guys. Every single one of ours is different, and it's very valuable. Tell it with confidence, and remember that you're not alone in your story. So when you're sharing it, you're not the only one that's been dealing or that has a story that's similar. There's other people out there that do. You have to share what you've gone through. But remember that you're not doing a pity me or woe is me. This is, all these struggles that I'm gone through. You're going to share it in a way of you're giving hope. Like yes, this is what I've gone through, but this is how I've overcome it. And so that you're giving hope to other people. So there's an exercise, sorry, you guys, I'm like, my allergies are bugging me. I have one itchy eye. I have an itchy side over here because I need to wash my hair. Okay. So hopefully that won't distract you. So here's an exercise that you're going to do. You're going to take a piece of paper, and on one side, you're going to put before this business. And you're going to write down, I'm not talking about like paragraphs or long sentences. I want you to think of words that come to your mind of before you started this business, before you got surrounded by this team and became a coach, okay? Whether you've been working the business, sending out invites, or whether you haven't yet, but you're here because you've gotten results and you've been a part of our challenge groups and a part of this team and have been able to, utilize these tools that we have and that we give and that we actually have on our team that's for coaches and team calls and all those things, and getting surrounded by positive people and uplifting people. Things have changed. So I'll give you an idea. So these are the things that I wrote down before this business: ungrateful, daily anxiety, depressed, lost in my purpose, marriage crumbling, lost my fun personality, lived through my husband and my kids, 40 pounds overweight, was negative every day. But so as you're making these lists, you need to also remember the positive things that you were before this business too. So write all those things that you were, and then also include, like, you were a hard, I was still a hard worker. I have a big heart. My my love for people got suppressed because I became bitter. So I thought I didn't love people anymore, but that's not what it was. I still did have a big heart, and I still cared about people, and I have that inner wanting to help other people be happy and feel good. And man, I worked hard. Like, I was a manager with so many different things. I was a preschool teacher. I always had that leadership quality where wherever I was at, they would end up just kind of giving me certain tasks to handle and to take care of and be in charge of, because I just put off that, like, I can take care of it kind of, attitude. And now you're going to write down the things that you were after this business, after you got surrounded by our team, after you got surrounded by everything that we're about, and you got the tools that we share and that we work and teach on and share with each other. I wrote down no more anxiety meds, can control my anxiety, more positive, I'm happier, I'm a better mom, I'm a better wife, I'm a better friend, I'm a better daughter, I'm healthier, I've lost 40 pounds, I have a healed marriage that continues to get stronger, I'm confident. So those are just some ideas. So this is an exercise that I want you to do, because we're going to take that and incorporate it in the next thing I'm going to talk about, okay? So then what we're going to do is you're going to think about some of the main ingredients that you feel that got you from A to B. So what are the ingredients that got you from before you were a coach to after you become a coach? Okay. Now these are the things that I wrote down. Challenge groups for support and help. A tool of workouts, meal plans, and how to meal prep. That was huge for me because I never thought I could learn any of that. And I was like blown away by how simple it could be. So that was like, that totally stuck out. Personal development. Oh my gosh, if you're not doing personal development, that's kind of the missing link or the missing piece. I mean, I'm just going to say it. I'm just going to put it out there. 5 years of doing this, my first year, I did not do personal development. I did not think I needed it. I didn't have time for it. I was like, are you crazy? I'm a preschool teacher. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I don't have time to read or listen to stuff. And once I finally opened that window and I was in a group where one of the books, it was a very small, the Compound Effect, small, quick read, but it was mandatory to be in this push group of wanting to earn this special retreat in Utah. And I wanted to be there. I wanted to be in the room. I wanted to go. And it was mandatory to read it. And we had to share our takeaways on what chapter we were on each day. So I spent 15, 20 minutes in the morning before I worked out with my reading time. So I made sure I got up just a little bit earlier than I already was. And that created a habit. It created a new habit and a new routine. And since then, it has continued to change my life. Even when I slack off and I don't listen to a whole lot that week or whatever, I can start to feel it. It really, I don't know what it is, but personal development will help keep my head on straight. It'll help keep my head straight when it comes to staying positive, getting through stressful situations with, moments in my marriage, with my kids, as being a mom, with the chaos and the crazy all over the place and the frustration that happens, everything, like everything. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be where I'm at already, like in my mind and my thoughts and in my life, like who I am. It's extremely important. So personal development. Okay, sorry, I went off on a tangent, but that really needed to be said. Team calls, which is really personal development in the community. That's what it is. You guys, I have hardly ever missed a team call in 5 years. Our Team Courage calls. Very, very few I've missed. I've made it a point to make sure that I've been pretty much, if I'm not like lack of internet or something, that I'm on the call, even all through this time, even with the kids being younger, even with Lucas being 3 years old, I was on it. Even if I had to not have my video on so they didn't see me going from one room or to another, and Lucas was in the bath, having a bath, and I had the team call on the bathroom counter so that I could listen in my little notebook so I can jot down notes if I needed to while I gave him a bath. That's what I did. But every week, I look forward to that every single week, because I get to be around the people that make me feel good. Like it literally lifts me up and fuels me with the good, uplifting, positive everything. Even though, yes, a lot of times we talk about business stuff, but it's all very life tangible. Like I use things, I get so much from our team calls that it helps me in my life. Sometimes we talk about marriage stuff. Sometimes we talk about, like being a parent, being a grandparent, like it's a lot of that all the time, really. Like even this last week, we talked about literally going over your priorities and rating yourself and really filling in those buckets and figuring out what you need to do for those different priorities of your life, so that you can show up the best way that you can show up as a mom with your kids, as a wife with your husband, you know, in your business. If you have a full-time job or another career, like how you show up well for that, for everything. And when the first time I learned that and it was taught to me on a team call, that completely changed my life, like completely. It took so much stress from me and my anxiety lowered so much because it felt so good that I was working on that. My mind didn't need to be all over the place. I didn't have to be super mom. I didn't have to be Wonder Woman. I didn't have to do like all these huge long lists of things for everybody so that to make everybody happy. It was just what I needed to focus on, what was important in my life. And really making sure, like learning about being intentional and about prioritizing and about planning your week and telling your time where to go. Like it all incorporates together. So anyway, that is huge. That totally changed my life. That's an ingredient of where I got from A to B. Recognition got me excited and it made me feel motivated. Commitment versus motivation, it's different. Learning how to set boundaries, evaluate priorities to take action. These are all ingredients for me. So that's what I want you guys to do. Write down, after you did the other list of before and after of being a coach, some of the main ingredients that got you from A to B, from before coach to now a coach. Now, this is an easy way to start storytelling. You're going to just take this information and break it down. Start by saying, like, I was thinking back when, pick an occasion, an event. Think about something, what is an event that made you unhappy, okay? And yes, I know that sounds dark and negative, but think about that first. So think about, like for me, okay, I was, an event that made me really unhappy was when I'd gotten my hair done for my birthday. I came home and we needed to get ready. We were going out, we were meeting a whole bunch of friends, and I had a panic attack in my closet because I wasn't happy with anything that I put on. I felt huge. I felt uncomfortable. It was awful. In fact, it was so bad that my husband didn't know how to handle me anymore. And he had to go get my daughter, who was a teenager, who was like 12, I think, 11. Not even a teenager. She was like 12, 11 years old. Came in and had to calm me down and help me figure it out to help get me on track. I mean, that's an awful moment. But, you know, so you can start out, so you start off with a post and you say, you know, for you mamas, or, you know, where are all my stay-at-home moms at? I'm not trying to put this on anyone else, but let me just take you behind the scenes of my journey. I was thinking back when and then you go on. So there's one, I believe I wrote down a whole one here, and I'm going to share with you. I totally get it. You might be like, I was struggling in your marriage, I was struggling in my marriage, barely getting by. And I'm thinking, no, wait, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. I totally get it. You might be like, I was struggling in your marriage, barely getting by, and you're thinking, I don't have time or money for a side hustle. I felt the same way. With so much pressure on our marriage, close to failing in all of our things, how could I possibly have the time or energy or money to start a side hustle? But for some crazy reason, I took a leap of faith, and I want to share it with you today. Even though it makes zero sense, I found investing in me, even when everything else had gone wrong, was the solution. Personal development taught me. So right now I'm gonna throw in and use some of the ingredients that got me from A to B, from this business. And this is like, can be either a call to action post or a, or sharing, or an inspirational post. You know, it doesn't always have to be at the end, you know, shoot me a message because I'm looking for, you know, 5 people or whatever. It doesn't have to always be that. It can just be sharing your story. So, and then it continues on. Sorry, this was a sample that I was writing as fast as I could. And what do you know? He came, oh, and then talking about the husband. Some of you are worried, what will my husband think? I have a better question for you. What is going to change in your life and marriage if you aren't willing to start the change? That could be like towards the end of a really awesome, valuable like post. Like I can share about that for sure because my marriage healed from being a part of this team. Healed. Like we were about to get divorced. And because I got surrounded by the people from this team and Summer and everybody, those that had healed their marriages from the tools that they got and they learned from their mentors from being a part of this team, was sharing them. So I took it and I did those things and I incorporated that in our life and it helped us. So yeah, like it's this business helped heal my marriage. So in my post, maybe I'm going to be talking to the person that is having a hard time in their marriage right now because they feel like they're 2 ships in the night and they feel like they become roommates, and the lack of appreciation and the lack of communication and the lack of intimacy and everything. I can share how that has healed. Now, maybe you can share about finding being a part of this team has done what for you. You know, that's huge. But also, so this isn't just about posts. So I want you to also understand that on your stories, you also need to be sharing it, but you share it in a different way. It's important to share pictures and like quotes and things like that because, you know, stories should be fun to watch, but it's also important to talk on stories. So like, I don't know if any of you guys have seen a few times I did, I haven't done one recently, so I need to do another one. But like I took some pictures and I was telling a story and I noticed I get, for my audience, I get a lot more people continuously watching them because they want to see what's next and kind of read the story. Than if I like talk too long, then they don't really want to listen to me talk too long on my stories. So it just depends on your audience and who's watching you. But like, show a before and after. Show some befores of, you know, and tell the story. Like maybe you and your kids, or you know, you and your husband, and some things, and then talk and share little clips of, you know, so many years ago or a year last year or whenever it was when you got started, where you were at. Like, you know, I was feeling lost. Like I was like, I'm going to use Beth. She pops into my head. You know, I was feeling like I was too old to make changes. I was out of energy. I didn't feel good about myself. I was tired of my clothes fitting so tight. And, you know, there was a struggle in my relationship. I wasn't feeling confident and good about me. So it made it very difficult for me to be intimate and open with my husband or communicate well with him because I was feeling bitter, whatever, little clips and things. If you guys have watched my stories, then you're going to continue that, and you can keep going and share like next one. So like I did my family, like where I was at, like some pictures of me and my family and stuff in the beginning, and kind of like on, you know, I can't believe it's been 5 years since I was this mom, you know, feeling so lost on anxiety meds. And like I would share different pictures, and then we had a surprise and had Lucas, and all of a sudden Lucas is in the photo. And you know what I mean? Like use the pictures to tell a story, and it doesn't have to be crazy long, but You can tell a short story, and then you can even get in at the very end and you can talk and video yourself, because people need to hear your heart. They need to hear your voice. The only way that people are going to really get to know you is by talking a little bit. So don't be afraid to do that. So you get on and you just, call them out. But when you call people out on something, call yourself out. You know what I mean? So if you're talking, so if, like, for me, I'm talking to the Angela of 6 years ago. I'm talking to the one that felt like she had to be super mom and be everything to everybody and not put herself on the list, because that's not what you do as a mom. You put everyone else on the list, not yourself. And all these things, and that you have to be everywhere, everything to everyone. And now your anxiety is so high and you can't even like handle your daily life. And then you talk about that, and then you share, at the end, you're like, I had to get over myself, and I had to just realize where I was at in the hole I had dug myself out, and realize if I don't want to be where, I don't want to be here anymore. I didn't want to be divorced. That's what was going to happen. I didn't want to be on more medication and probably seeing a therapist, which therapists are not bad. Therapists are very good, actually. But anyway, you see what I'm saying? And just call and say, I had to own my crap. I had to realize that the things I was doing every day was not going to get me any better. I was going to continue ruining my life and be unhappy and miserable and divorced. And I didn't want that at all. So, I had to come. So then you say, you call yourself out, because that's really like you're calling yourself out, but you're really calling that person out, who's ever's listening, if they're in that place, without being like rude and disrespectful and saying, you need to get your, if you're in this place, you need to get your shiznit together or whatever. That's not what you want to do. But Josh talked about how calling yourself out, it's like, and then you say, if you are at all, any of this relates to you, but you are at all are feeling like, oh my gosh, Angela, you're speaking me, like that's me. Know that there is a way. There's hope. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. You just need to take the leap of faith, and you just need to jump, because I can tell you, doing so will completely change your life if you're willing to put in the effort to make it better. So shoot me a message and let's talk and even see if this is a fit for you or not. And that's it. And you maybe end your story like that. But when you're doing your stories, you want to share hold on, I wrote it down. You want to share one family thing, anything about family time that you're doing. Now remember, if you're just sharing in your stories, like that you're getting up, you're taking your Energize, you're working out, maybe a healthy food item like your lunch or breakfast or your Shakeology or whatever, and that's it. And then like you're not really sharing anything else on stories, and that's pretty much every day. People are not going to know that you actually have a life. And it's important, because that's how they get to know you and who you are. And those that continue watching your stories are going to relate to you and be like, oh, she's, it's a real person that has a real life and has real crazy stuff that happens, and she's enjoyable to watch. Okay. So for stories, one family thing at least, 2 recreation things, 2 things that you did for fun, whatever it is that you like to do, other than Beachbody, other than working out. Okay. 1 business. So maybe fitting it in my life, maybe showing that you're on a team call, or, after you put the kids to bed, or that you're catching the recording during nap time, because this is your time to catch up, and, things like that. And engagement questions. There should be one engagement post every day, or in your story every day. So use polls. Never use yes or no. Always use two different forms of yeses or differences, but never like no. If you're asking a question, or ask a question, like if you're, hey, it's going to be date night and I can't decide between this outfit or this outfit. What do you think? Like if you guys watched any of my stories before I went on the retreat, I was trying to decide which pants to get, two different colors, and I posted in my stories and I let everybody vote it. Do you guys know that that was the one thing that I've had the most votes on? People love to vote and give their opinion on something that you're asking for, this or this. Always, always an opinion. So that gets engagement, you guys. Call to actions to a group that you're doing or to coaching. And then you should try and go live once a week on something, whether it's something from personal development, something that you've learned through your nutrition, a tip, whatever. But that's how people can really start to trust you and learn to trust you. And you build that relationship is by, that's like their way of getting to know you personally without you guys actually really being together in the same room. You know what I mean? So anyway, I hope those things help. Please let me know if you guys have any questions about it, but this will give you a good foundation with those exercises to do and how to story tell. So there are I think 1 or 2 posts that I did that were storytelling. There was also a couple others from a couple of the other coaches that are in the group with me that they did after we did this exercise and created like a storytelling post. I can share those in our Team Journey page on Facebook if you like, and then that way you guys have samples and you can read an actual post and like the picture that went with it, so that you have a super good visual idea. But anyway, so that's that. Okay, well, I have been talking, not too bad. It's 8:35. Wasn't sure how long I was gonna go. Hopefully I didn't confuse anyone and you guys all got this. I have some really, really great teaching for next week. I'm super excited about 2 on the priorities and our buckets, and it's gonna help our life all around, not just our business, but in our relationships and parenting and business, our careers and everything. So it's a really, really awesome exercise. And I'll post about it. And then there's also a document I want you to print out for it. And then we can go through it together. It's great. So it'll help everybody. So I hope you guys have a really good night, and I will talk to you later.